discussions, comments? If you have a comment to make.
A question, maybe I'd like to put this question to Dr. Agassi as a representative of the National Root Crop Research Institute, or to any others who would care to respond. In the past, there have been previous efforts in Nigeria and elsewhere in Africa to multiply and distribute for free large amounts of cassava planting material. Could you explain to us, Dr. Agassi, how the approach you're taking under this project is different from the approach taken through previous campaigns to distribute cassava seeds?
Thank you, Lawrence. As you rightly mentioned, in the past, we have had government support or even other development agencies trying to help the very poor farmer, to have access to the seed, because they keep hearing about the breeders' complaint about, we develop varieties, where are they? So we just need anything that will make us take them to the farmer. And that's the most important thing as far as we think we know. But we know that there's a deficiency in that system. It doesn't help the seed system. We all know the seed system for grain crops are different for those from vegetatively propagated crops like cassava, yam, all the rest of them. And so, because they are perishable, they are heavy, they are bulky, you can't move them easily around, you can't store them. So this project is different in the sense that it is trying to make this effort more sustainable, make it a business, and make the producers and everyone see the value of having quality plant material, certified plant material. That this will give, we know from experience that this will give better yields, will give better productivity than the one that has not been certified. You know that because it's vegetatively propagated material, you recycle. You clone every year, you recycle. There's a likelihood of accumulation of the diseases or the pathogens that cause the diseases, or even the pests. So you move them from one generation to the other, and it's even going, it can be incremental as you move in the years. So this project is different because it makes you see value for, if I buy the seed, I will grow and get it to be more profitable venture for me. So it also gives the incentive for people to say, I'm not employed. I can really get into this business because if I get into it, I will have people to buy it from me. You know that the risk is always there. If I buy it today, am I buying it tomorrow? So when somebody sees that after 3-4 years, what I've been recycling is not going to give me the yields I expected, then the person will want to go to a certified seed producer and purchase high quality planting material. Thank you.
Thank you. The State Council wants to say something.
Thank you very much. But we cannot run away from government support if we want this thing to gain ground. And what I'm actually seeing that will happen maybe next year, my colleague is here, we have been working together for a long time on cassava value chain, Mr. Ayeni. I just asked him whether we have something we call growth enhancement scheme, that is a support for farmers on issue of seed and other inputs. I think I will make a case even to the minister for us to do for cassava. And those that will be suppliers are the VSEs. That will create a big market for them. And when people see that we are taking this thing from them, they will be able to, they want to key in. Why are they taking my own and they are not, and why are they taking your own and they are not taking my own? Then that will bring a kind of enlightenment to them. They need to use certified seed. It's only those that are planted seed that have been certified that will benefit from this kind of patronage. That's why it's very essential. As yesterday I told you, there's opportunity also for export. And the cost may be very high. Under the African development, this ADB, this bank, African Development Bank, there's a kind of cassava program they are floating. And they are looking at Nigeria as the major source of planting materials. It's only those that have planted certified seed that the plant character can issue what you call phytosanitary certificate to that can benefit. So let us just look at it holistically and see how we can actually improve and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Emmanuel?
Yes, I just want to support what Dr. Egesi said, perhaps but in another way. One of the things that the basic project is trying to establish and encourage is a change in mindsets of farmers. The basic project is trying to discourage free distribution of materials. We know that anything that is given for free is not valued. And that is why a farmer may pick material today, for free and doesn't even care to, take care of the field that is, he has planted the material even at the end of the day. So the basis project is trying to ensure that farmers really have value for seeds by paying something for it, no matter how small, so that they can value it at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to mix? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that what my colleague Emmanuel said. People do not value what is given for free. But that particularly applies to only two things I have seen. It's seeds and money. Say, for example, if somebody gives me a bottle of free water when I'm going somewhere, but next time when I need water, my mind tells me that I have to buy it, I have to pay and buy it. Say, for example, I win a car in some competition. The next time when I need a car for my daughter or my son, I know that I have to pay for it. But somehow in these two things, once I get seeds, I feel sometime next time again I might get it for free. For loans, the small loans, farmer loans, etc. I've come from India. In India, when the government comes in and there is a new rule comes in, they say, okay, we will waive the loans for the farmers. And that disrupts the market there, because next time when the banks start giving the loan, they don't give the loans to the farmers because they say the farmer behavior is not to repay it. So Indian banks say in India that we don't want to give loans to the farmers because the habit has changed. They don't want to repay the loan. I see this behavior only in these two things, seeds and money. But everything else, even if we get it for free once, it doesn't change our behavior. Next time when we see that or need that, we somehow tell, something in us tells that we need to buy this. But it doesn't apply to those two things. I just wanted to share that thought.
All right. Yeah. Any other?
My name is Stephen Walsh. I work for the Center for Development Innovation at Wageningen University and Research. I've had the opportunity to be engaged in supporting this project and the predecessor project to it, which was the Village Seed Entrepreneur-led model. So I just want to express my thanks to RTB for bringing me here this week and to be able to provide some support. I have a question, just a general question to the group around the learning that's occurred over the last few years related to farmer demand, better understanding farmer demand, and better understanding the motivations to buy and also not to buy. And the extent to which that knowledge is, there's any segmentation of that knowledge by different buyer demographic. I'd appreciate some of your thoughts or thinking on that, and to what extent you think it truly is important to better understand that from a business case modeling moving forward. So thank you.
Mark?
Test. Yeah, I'll start. Emmanuel, I know that you'll have some thoughts on this as well. It's a critical question. So prior to working on this project and even prior to working with Context, I had the opportunity to work with a seed company, Pioneer Hybrid, and we were working on grains. And one of the things that you find in working in a commercial seed business is the ability to understand farmer demand and the ability then to technically match that with effective production, quality systems, and inventory management is critical. A well understanding of what farmer needs are, and the ability to have that product at the right place at the right time either causes businesses to succeed or fail. So one of the things I guess I would say that we've had the opportunity to learn more about what demand for cassava seed is in Nigeria is, one, there's this perception that since there is the opportunity to recycle stems, farmers don't value it. Or I think of that as probably the first myth. There is a marketplace even for recycled materials. And so our question is, how do we think about transforming the mindset for where the recycled stems can then recognize the value of higher quality or clean planting material, or the varieties that are more well suited for their farms? And that's probably the tougher question, and one that we're continually working on to better resolve. And through that, there are just some unique challenges that we're working through, because structurally there is a need for replenishing, bringing new stems to farmers. That happens on a regular basis. You know, timing of harvest and planting is a big challenge, especially as farmers are thinking about how to match that up. And so there is inherently a need for stems on an annual basis. How we continue to evolve that demand into better and better understandings is part of the journey that we're on. But we have made some strides. We'd like to make more strides over the next few years, because it is critical to the viability of a good seed unit.
All right. Emmanuel?
Yeah, I wanted to get Steve's question clearly. Steve, can you ask the question?
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for your thoughtful response. I want to get a sense, Emmanuel, of what we've learned over the last couple of years around farmer demand, motivations to buy, motivations not to buy, and if there's a market, different markets, different segmentation of that demand. Kind of what I know we've learned stuff, but I think it's important to hear from you all about what have you learned about farmer demand, because it seems to be the driver on the commercial viability and sustainability of these businesses.
Okay, from our own perspective, we've tried to study the cassava seed market in Benue State, and we have found out that there are a couple of challenges, that farmers have, in continuing to return to buy seeds. For instance, the biggest driver that we have identified is the variety. And farmers tend to keep the variety and multiply it. And so they don't return the second year to buy, except we are introducing a new variety. So we have also learned that perhaps the way to keep the farmers coming again and again is continue to introduce new varieties. But as we know, the varieties are not also, introducing a new variety from year to year is not as easy, as it appears, but that is something that we know should be done to encourage farmers to come back to buy. We also know that there is a huge population of cassava farmers in Benue State, and the demand is not something that this current crop of seed entrepreneurs can actually meet. And so we know that what we are targeting is just a small percentage of the market. And so in a situation where you are targeting maybe just 2% of the market and assume that 98% of the farmers will not return, you are sure of selling the materials. We also know that there are certain characteristics that buyers of seeds are looking for. For instance, certain product characteristics. They want fufu that is white. They want gari that is white. They want roots that have high dry matter content. We also know that these product characteristics are the group, demographic group that emphasize most on product characteristics are the women. So we know that if we have to target women, we need to perhaps channel or focus our marketing communication on product characteristics. And if we need to target men, we need to look at the yield of the crop because that is the major interest of the men. A lot of information that we've gathered that I probably will not remember to mention right now, but basically that is a trend of the market.
All right, yeah, I guess.
Yes, and just a little more addition to all that. I think one of the things that we saw is over time, the demand for planting materials or seed outweighs the resources, what is available every year, both at IITA and NRCRI for foundation seed is always higher than we can supply or provide. And then you have this new emerging industry in Nigeria, cassava processing factories, having specifications for certain varieties and certain characteristics that will help suit their own product or end-use product. So one of the things we realized even from before this project and even and have been able to implement in this project is that gathering, what they used to call outgrowers could be something that if we harness them very well, we'll be able to feed the end users, the processors. And so what are the varieties that they demand or that they desire for their own product? For example, ethanol is a new product line. What varieties of cassava will suit those? So what farmers are going to produce those? And are they going to, it's going to be a matter of, I need to fill my capacity for my processing industry. So I need as many farmers as possible that will give me the right roots, before you start, you need to have the right planting material, you need to have the right seed. So that has changed the kind of demands that we are getting, and we think that BASIC serves as an intervention that will pilot it and showcase that this is possible with the right quality of seed and with the right environment, the certification and all that this could be a business that will also serve. Because we know that in the past, you see many farmers who produce or many producers of roots who produce, and they will say, we don't have where to sell them to. So this project is doing the linkages across the value chains so that the demand will match the right variety, the right varieties, and then match the right product that is intended.
With respect to farmers' demand, we have conducted studies across the country, disaggregated to the level of geopolitical zone as well as states. And taking cue from that, we do know that the issue of interest and awareness is not a problem. We are dealing with two categories of farmers: those who are producing for industry or the market, and those who are producing for home consumption. For those category of people, the most important consideration is the cost. They are willing to buy, but the cost is the determinant of whether eventually they will translate their interest and awareness into actual purchase. Another factor, of course, is availability. If the farmer is not sure that if they buy this year, they will get it next year, they are always not willing to part with the materials that they are using because of the experience that they've had, especially at the start of the Nigerian seed industry. So that is still an issue. But let me also say that depending on the zone, we have some considerable variations, whether you are dealing with southwest, southeast, northeast. In terms of awareness, we have a lot of awareness in the northwest and in the southwest. But in terms of willingness for purchase, you have it more, especially in the south, in the northwest, because of course, you know that is related, especially with respect to grain industry. So we have some data that that have been collected across the country. The question I have is, I would like to request for an elaboration of the strategy for expanding this project. There seems to be some restrictions to to Benue State as well as to the southeast. But what will be the strategy to expand it and upscale it? across other zones, and especially in the southwest, where we also have some good and considerable cassava growing interest. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the name again, please?
I'm Shola Ajayi from Obafemi Awolowo University, but I'm also at the same time representing the Green Innovation Center.
Speaking from the point of a breeder, you have many varieties outside targeted to different agroecologies. And the breeder seed is very fundamental in starting the seed system. We know that some organizations do have the tendency to always pull their business into a revenue generating unit or setup. Given the fact that breeders are always very busy, this is a specialized kind of an activity. I just want to ask, probably this is relevant for Peter Kulakau and Egesi, what recommendations will you be giving to your organizations in terms of handling those special requirements in terms of breeder seeds for different varieties targeting different situations? So I'm just trying to say, what structural changes will you be recommending that your organizations do so that that pipeline, starting with breeder seed, functions effectively very well?
Both of those questions are closely related because it's related to understanding demand and differentiating demand in different segments of both the market and the agroecological systems for cassava. I think historically we've always recognized that there is differentiation, but a lot of the varieties have been thought of as multi-purpose varieties where a single variety is good across the country or for many uses. So I think there is an opportunity for a much more segmentation of the varieties for different uses in different places, especially as we look into maybe in northern areas, they might use boil and eat cassava, whereas it's primarily for gari and fufu in the south, and then all of the different industrial applications. So there is a lot of opportunity for differentiation, but there's also a lot of commonality across of needs, whereas I think many people want high, stable starch yield, and that's sort of uniformly across the country. Of course, it has to be suitable for the different uses in the different places, but and so we see farmers are very conservative in some ways. They stick with some of the older varieties like NR8082 and 30572 because they have reliable production of stems. They're reliably produced. We see a lot of reliance on TME 419 because of its both because of its plant habit and its fairly reliable starch yield. And what we need to see is where the other varieties fit into these different segments. One of the other things, though, is we've seen tremendous responsiveness of farmers to biofortified cassava, a brand new product in the last few years. And that's shown that farmers are willing to change and are willing to consider new varieties. So one of the things, I guess the bottom line, though, is that with both of these points is that we really need to listen effectively to what demand is. And part of this project is to produce seeds and how to more effectively produce high-quality seeds, but also how to effectively listen to what the demand is and how the demand is differentiated in different places.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just to put some clarity, I was just trying to say that the responsibility is quite big. Would you want to run it within your breeding system or outside your breeding system? That's the major thing. Will you want to do it within your breeding structure or outside the breeding structure?
I got it.
Yeah,
I'll take it. I'll take it. So thank you, Emmanuel. And thank you, Peter, for the response. I think everybody, we need to have a complete a change of mindset for everybody, not only the farmers or the seed producers, but also the research centers or the breeding centers. In other places, you call them breeding companies. So what are we trying to do in basics? We've been discussing this all week. How to make the research centers that are responsible for producing breeder seed move away from the old style of, we develop the varieties, we release them, and we try to multiply them, and we give. We give to farmers. We give. Remember the word, we give. So that is not economical, that is not sustainable, and that is why many of our varieties, about 50 of them are still with us. They have not gone anywhere. So IITA has what you call Go Seed. That is a new business establishment for seed production. And we've been talking how to engage them more to get into producing even breeder seed and foundation seed at the same time. The same thing, NRCRI has what you call NRCRI Consult. And these two companies are beginning to register. I believe they've applied for registration as seed producers. So this will now run as businesses. It's not an easy change for all of us, but it's something that we see this project as an opportunity to make that come to fruition, that we begin to run seed companies as research centers, but they are not to be run in like breeding units. It cannot run like a breeding unit, like I'm a breeder. My breeding unit cannot be producing. But for this project, we are using this project to pilot it and to see that we move to that direction.
Thank you so much. 1 minute.
Thank you. On the issue of seed demand, at the level cassava is now, I don't think we can satisfy the farmers' demand in the next 2 years because of the cost and because of the need to extend to the northeast, because that is the major food crop that we depend upon as food security in that area. And the second thing is the need to entrench market information system into this, because some people may have abundance of planting material in a location and others are looking for it. When you say there's no market, is it that there's no market in your area or the thing is not available at all? If we have a market information system in this, I think it will help us to get the people informed about the availability of material.
Thank you. Hemant.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Sola, for those two questions. They are very valid questions. You asked about cost and you asked about the scale. And they are very important questions and also very integral to this project. Okay? As far as cost goes, I will go back to what Chidozi mentioned. It's a mindset that we need to look at. We are all leaders here for cassava seed system, and we have a responsibility to change or set the right mindset in all the stakeholders down the line. When we say cost, I would like to change that thinking to investment and return on investment. So anything and everything that we buy has a cost. But can we change the mindset to say it's an investment, and does it make, is it value for money? Then we can make a decision on that. Okay? And also, can we change the thinking of tons per hectare or whatever to naira per hectare? So everything we talk about naira per hectare. So that might answer some of the questions there. And you mentioned about the scale. Basics project is doing 2 commercial pilots. One is the village seed entrepreneur model and one is the processor-led model. And these are commercial pilots. And once we demonstrate this, all the people are welcome to have a look at this, and we want this scaled up and scaled out. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause to all the presenters. You can have your seats.